I discovered my girlfriend's credit card debt and I want to leave her.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it is broke, get out of there.
Yeah, I guess so. I, 29 male, recently broke up with my girlfriend Lisa, 28 female, after dating for a year. My friends think I'm a huge a-hole to break up with someone over money, but I feel that I did the right thing. One of my friends suggested me to post here so that I can see I'm making the biggest mistake of my life. By the way, this comes from user throwawaybadboyfriend1212, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/okstorytime subreddit. For context, I have a comfortable job now, and financially I'm in a great place. I grew up poor and had to scrap through most of my college on scholarships. Luckily, I found good mentors in college and was able to finish my PhD in a very lucrative field. I know what it's like to have nothing and am very frugal with my resources. I met Lisa a year ago on a dating app. Lisa is beautiful, smart, and very charming. Our relationship has been great so far, and we have never had any real fights or differences. She also has great taste, which I lack, and helped me with my wardrobe and making my apartment homely. Her lease was supposed to be up in a few months, and I asked her to move in with me. She was incredibly happy and agreed to it. However, we decided to discuss finances and other important things before we take that next step. 2 weeks ago, we sat down and I made an Excel spreadsheet to decide how we're going to pay for stuff. I knew I made significantly more than her, and I offered we pay proportionally, which she happily agreed to. For that purpose, I asked her how much she makes, and it was lower than I would have anticipated based on her lifestyle. I asked her how she affords all the designer bags and going to fancy vacations on that salary. She looked embarrassed and told me that she has around $20,000 in credit card debt. I knew about her student loans, but that did not bother me. However, I realized she spends way more than she can afford and had no real answers on how she plans to pay back the credit card balance. She told me that moving in together would help towards paying off the debt, as her monthly living expenses would go down significantly and she can pay that towards the debt. She told me she would be debt-free within a year if we moved in together. However, she also told me she could not be on the lease as she has a poor credit history. All that led me to rethink our whole relationship.
That is a big part. If you're planning on having a family together, moving in together, you know, their financial issues will become your own. So that is a big thing to consider.
I was looking forward to a long-term relationship and also marrying her one day. However, based on what I have seen so far, she is very irresponsible with money. I have trauma from childhood where my father would spend money on gambling and on fancy items to impress his friends that we couldn't afford, and that meant we barely were scraping by. My mother kept the house together and made sure we had food on the table. I cannot be with a person who is so irresponsible with money and suffers like my mother did. I communicated that to Lisa. She was upset with me. She told me that she's not asking for handouts and she'll take care of her debt. She told me that she made some dumb decisions years ago and is just caught in a bad loop with credit cards. She also said that she's willing to learn from me as her parents never taught her about how to handle money. She also pointed out things I learned from her that I lacked. She asked me to give her time, but I just don't think I can play the same role as my mother. We talked about it for a while, and I told her we cannot move in together until she takes care of the debt. She said she cannot afford to live on her own and take care of it, and finally we broke up over that. She still wants to get back together, but I told her I need time to think. My friends love Lisa and feels that she is a perfect partner for me. They think she has made me into a better person, and I'm stupid to throw away a perfectly good relationship over something that can be fixed. I just don't think I trust her to change, and I know that eventually I will end up supporting her lifestyle if we get married, since money would not be an issue at that point for her. Am I the a-hole to break up over this, and am I throwing away a perfectly good relationship over money? Yes, you are. Both of those things. Especially at the end there, you literally, buddy, you're missing the logic, and it makes sense because you have trauma.
Yeah.
Your trauma is informing you right now, which is, if we're conscious of it, we need to be aware that it's our trauma that's making us do this. Finally, it all came down to me missing her a lot. He's like, I remembered I love her. And I miss her. I do not have a therapist, but I called my mom and visited her over the next weekend to talk about what had happened. My mom loves Lisa, and they get along really well. She was surprised that we had broken up, but didn't know why. I explained to her what I was thinking. I told her about what I observed based on their relationship with money and how I am worried about Lisa's luxurious lifestyle and debt. My mom advised me not to let any issues in their relationship affect how I think, as everyone's situation is different. My dad had a gambling problem, and although he made good money, he lost a significant amount of it a few times when he had lapsed. That led my parents to be in severe debt and us having a very difficult childhood. My mom explained that although my dad did make mistakes, the main reason she stayed with him was because he was a good dad to me. She said that Lisa does not have to be equal to me financially as long as she makes my life better in different ways. My mother also pointed out to me that I have a good job and Lisa makes me very happy. She asked me to consider giving her a second chance and see if she is willing to learn and improve, which we already know she was.
Yeah, you knew that it was wrong.
So OP made all of these decisions based on a place of fear and trauma, which is never a great place to be informed by. I talked to Lisa the next week and indicated that I'm willing to work through things. She came to my apartment the next Saturday with her laptop and started showing me all her finances and why she's in so much debt. Lisa had a great childhood and her parents always bought everything she asked for. She did have to take student loans, but her parents would always buy her nice gifts, as that was their love language. After graduation, reality hit her as she was not making as much money as she thought she would. Her parents financially cut her off as she had a job. I hate that, dude. It's like you're just whatever. It's fine. Go way to set your kid up for absolute financial failure.
Right. Great job, parents.
For the first few years, she tried to keep up with the same lifestyle and didn't understand how much the interests actually cost on her credit cards. She was now in severe debt and barely able to keep up with the credit card and student loan payments. She showed me that a huge percentage of her income just goes to paying off these cards. Her sisters are doing much better than her financially, and she tries to keep up the facade that she is also doing well by going on nice vacations that they plan. She knows it's wrong, but she just got caught up and told me that she would be willing to change if it means we get to be together. Most of the designer bags and stuff are gifts from her parents. No one in her family knows about her debt. And by the way, you can know that we have full episodes with stories just like this for you to listen to on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio and wherever you listen to podcasts. All you have to do is search OK Storytime, and you'll find over 2,000 episodes to listen to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Call me the Kool-Aid man, because I'm saying, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And there is a little bit more.
That is important to know that, like, those designer bags and things are gifts. She's not buying that.
Right.
So it's this whole thing could have been fixed with a longer conversation about all the details of her spending habits. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. Hopefully you guys can, get back together. She wanted to.
Well, I think that's on the road. I think we're on that road.
Okay,
sure.
good.
If he's lucky enough that she's like, I'll come back. After you reduce me to a number, which is fair because this is all coming from like legit trauma.
Yes.
And he was like, I know it. I see it. So I'm not going to let her do the same thing my dad did to my mom.
And that is honestly fine to make decisions based off of that. So, I don't blame OP, I guess, for thinking that way, because especially in relationships, if you were in a relationship where maybe this was a problem and then it turned out bad and you're like, okay, never again, then sure, I get that. But if you really love this woman and you really do want to work something out and this is the only thing the only reason why it wouldn't, then maybe give it a chance, work with it. Yeah.
And he's thinking in the future, he's like, well, when we get married, she's going to do, it's like, but you're not married. You're moving in together. So it's like, this is a perfect opportunity for you to see. Anyway.
Exactly.
If you've got trauma, which you probably do, and if it's getting in the way of you living your life, which it could be, go to therapy, which is what I would suggest to OP to get over his financial trauma. Let's finish this story. She has offered me to manage all of her finances when she moves in with me and only give her an allowance for spending on fun activities. I don't think that's appropriate for me to do. However, I did offer to take care of our living expenses until she repays her debt. She insists she still would want to contribute her share proportionally based on our income. I earn almost 10 times as much as her and live very modestly, so her share of our expenses would be pretty small. We agreed to that. That alone should help a long way in her quickly paying off her cards. I felt she was genuine and she was asking me a lot of questions on how she can pay the cards off quickly. I still feel she does not really understand how high the credit card debt interests are, and we will look into doing something to get that down. Overall, I feel good about my decision, and I'm excited for her to move in with me. Wish us luck, everyone, and again, thanks for sharing your stories in the previous post. They helped me a lot. And that is the end of that story.
Well, good.
I still hope you go to therapy to move through that therapy and address it and process it fully. Because it felt like, again, it's like you can make that decision where it's like, oh, well, if someone is irresponsible with their money, I don't want to date them or be with them.
Breaker.
You can make that decision.
Sure.
That's one thing. But it felt like he was fully making that decision from a place of fight or flight, which is not where you should be making that decision.
Yeah.
It just comes down to the context of where it's coming from. And that's that, you know? So I hope, because it didn't really get mentioned in the post, but I hope OP pursues some kind of therapy. You know, once you're like convinced you're predicting the whole future.
Yeah, not a good sign.
You know, it's like you've got something there informing your thought pattern.
Something to pay attention to.
And that makes me think of things as well.
We can all go for some self-reflection. Good for everyone.
Turning it off. That's the end of that story.
My friend treated me badly on a trip. Now I want to send her home.
Send her back express mail.
And this comes directly from the OK Storytime subreddit. So we have our characters. Me, 25 female. My husband, 25 male. Olivia, 26 female. And Sarah, 25 female.
Okay.
Context. Olivia works for me, employee turned friend, and I went to high school with Sarah and my husband. I knew she wasn't economically in the best shape. It's rough out there. By the way, this comes from OK Conversation 8659, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So we'd help her when we could, paid for her to come out with us, let her have lots of flexibility at work, paid well above minimum wage. The position is a minimum wage position. Made sure she had decent benefits. I didn't need it because I get coverage under my husband. Let her borrow one of our vehicles. I don't drive, and she would drive us around for work, and we would pay work for mileage, maintenance, and insurance.
So you have done a lot for this friend.
We have done everything. She took very poor care of it, and it's now very damaged. We didn't ask for anything in return, maybe run me to a doctor's appointment here and there. She expressed that she wanted to find a different job because she didn't make enough with me. Fair enough. And my husband offered her a side gig where she would be a model, as well as coming over once a week to help make the designs and attend 2 events on an all expenses paid trip to Europe for an extra $1,000 a month.
Is your husband like a fashion designer?
I think that's what it is.
Oh my God.
Fancy. She wasn't satisfied with this long term and was still looking for something externally.
That's insane. Your friend is completely ungrateful and you should now do nothing for her. Get $1,000 a month, you're a model and you get to go to Europe, all expenses paid. That's still not enough for you?
And you
Literally,
get a car?
I'm done with you.
Yeah. No problem. I'll keep my business open until she found something else to make sure she was okay. I was wanting to shut my business anyway as I developed a chronic illness and could no longer do the physical work. There were a lot of times I felt like she took advantage, but I let it go. We go to 2 European countries for 10 days with Sarah and Olivia. My husband and I pay for the flights, hotels, and dinners, and extra things like high tea and a few outings.
We're going to high tea.
Have some high tea together.
Put your pinky out for high tea.
They were responsible for lunches, shopping, and any extras they wanted to do. Olivia is being super rude and condescending even before we take off anywhere.
How?
On your all expenses paid trip to Europe.
Well, actually, they're not paying for lunch and they're not paying for my shopping.
Your own personal shopping spree is on you.
Yeah.
With your extra $1,000 a month.
That's not good enough for her.
An example, Sarah and Olivia haven't traveled much, and Sarah forgot full-size beauty products in her carry-on and realized after we checked her baggage. I say to her, I'm sorry, security will take that stuff. You're going to have to buy new stuff when we land. And Olivia jumps in rudely with, they won't take it if it's only partially full. I internally roll my eyes and explain, security goes by what the milliliters the bottle is. It doesn't matter how much liquid is actually inside it. And she just tried to continue arguing. So whatever, security took the products and we moved on. This behavior continued the whole trip, just really condescending and combative and treating my husband and me like we have no idea what we're talking about. She was also warned about tourist traps and what they look like. She got trapped in 2.
Nice. So
she got out of the first one, but the second one she dragged my husband in and he ended up paying $500 to get out of it. And then she yelled at my husband about telling his wife about the situation and insulted me behind my back to my husband, saying, I know how she thinks. She thinks she could have spent that money on herself, yada, yada, yada. I privately talked to my husband and he agrees her behavior is outrageous. To be clear, we didn't expect her to spend every moment with us. Just go do your own thing. I don't care, just be nice. That's really all I wanted was a nice friend's trip. We finished the first leg of the trip and land in our second destination. And my husband pulls Olivia aside in the airport and asks if she wanted to be there. And if she didn't, there was a return flight home for her.
Yes.
I wasn't there, so I can't really comment on how this went down. But I guess Olivia was trying to cause a scene and yell in the airport. And my husband just walked away because he didn't want to be detained.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is what you do.
Just walk away.
And it can even get to a point where you go, you know what, Olivia? You've been such an oppressive, negative force this entire time. We don't want to spend the rest of the trip with you. So we bought you your flight home. And here's the information. If you don't take this flight, you'll have to find your own way back.
Yeah. It's this or nothing. I also found out later that she told my husband something I told her in confidence just to stir up crap. We continue our trip and she seems normal for the first few days. We're having a good time. Then she starts bothering us for payment. She had a payday while we were there and she didn't fill her hours in on our work portal. On a non-working day, she asked, "Hey, can I use your laptop? The app won't let me fill my hours in." She's supposed to fill hours daily, and we've talked about it, and she doesn't. She puts all her hours in on payday, so I'm not sure how accurate her hours have even been. I say, just use the Safari browser, that's what I do, and all the functions work fine. And she gets argumentative and says, no, it doesn't work. And I explain that I'm not talking about using the app. Whatever, I'm done with the conversation at that point, and I say, I'm not dealing with this right now. And then she asked my husband when he'll pay her. He paid her later that evening, I believe, but only paid for what work she did.
So I guess she was getting paid on this trip somehow?
So she was getting paid. We don't know if this is just from like work she's done beforehand that she just hasn't been logging, but I think she did agree to do one of the trips with the husband.
Okay. And then maybe she was like, but I don't want to keep doing it because it's not like sustainable.
Like, I'll do this for now, but I'm still going to look for something else. So she is getting paid. She's only putting her hours in on payday.
What an absolute freaking dummy that it's like clearly OP and her husband are like, they want to try to make this work and help her and like make this a good situation for her. And she does not care at all.
Yeah. She only attended one of 2 events listed in her contract. This was a big point of contention for her. The last 3 days of the trip, my husband and I don't see her at all. It feels like she was actively avoiding us. Whatever, we still hung out with Sarah. A+ for Sarah.
Yeah.
We see Olivia for the first time in 3 days, and it's as we're leaving the hotel to catch our flight. At 5:30 a.m., she's wasted and hanging off some random dude. She's been up all night clubbing. Whatever, live your life, but don't be loud about it and make it my problem, please. Anyway, I'm not a very nice person that early in the morning, running on 3 hours of sleep. So instead of saying anything in the taxi, I just put my headphones in and chill. We get to the airport and she's still club dancing and being so loud. We get through with little issue.
I just want to really point out quickly that OP, you are actually nice because your version of I'm mean in the morning is being chill with your headphones on.
Yeah.
That's you being mean?
That's so nice. That's normal.
That's just being chill. You're just a chill guy.
Just a chill guy. Crushing it. We get through with little issue. I sit with my husband and he tells me something about her saying something about not wanting to drive the car anymore while we were in the taxi. Confused, I went to go ask her about it. The conversation went like this. Me, I haven't seen you in the last 3 days. What happened? Olivia, yeah, that was intentional. Me, oh? Why? Olivia, your husband threatened me in an airport.
Right.
Yes. That was
being like, you seem miserable. If you want to go home, you can.
It's a real threat.
That's a threat.
Me. Yeah, I asked him to talk to you because of how you were treating everyone. You were being really rude. Olivia. Well, yeah, I didn't want to be at your beck and call and your little lapdog the whole time. Me. Whoa. No one said you had to spend every second with us. My husband also mentioned something about the car. What's going on with that? Olivia. Yeah, well, I don't feel comfortable driving it anymore, so you can Uber with all the supplies and I'll meet you at our jobs by bus. Me stunned. Okay, I'm gonna find coffee. She then starts crap talking us in the airport to other random people. They would sit next to her, she starts ranting, and they would leave a few minutes later looking visibly uncomfortable. and to Sarah with us sitting within earshot. She's just a horrible person.
I mean, she's a monster.
And now knowing that this probably is a work trip or she's in some way on your husband's payroll, fire her. You have claws.
Yeah, 100%.
She's being combative.
You can fire her.
Yeah. She's officially broken her disparagement clause in the contract she had with my husband. We finally sit on the plane and my husband sends her a termination email. Woohoo.
Yeah.
She loses it.
Really?
Maybe we didn't need to send it on the plane.
Nah, do it. Have her get arrested by the sky marshal.
This is why you guys don't have any friends, and I quit my company, along with a lot of profanity, to the point where Sarah had to say, "Shut up," before you get punted off the plane. And she sits and is quiet. Then she starts trying to take pictures of us, and I hold my hand out in front of her camera and said, "Actually, I really don't want photos taken of me right now." And in response, "I'm just documenting everything to protect myself." And I just said, "Of us sitting on a plane?" Anyway, she left me high and dry with client appointments to do myself, doubling the time it takes to complete each appointment and significantly harder on my body. Great. We land and board our next flight, and she's avoiding us.
I would want her to avoid me. If I was OP, I'd be like, please avoid me.
I don't know why. I will say, like, she's totally in the wrong and you don't need her anymore. I don't know why you expected to still get driven to appointments, but...
Yeah, of course she was going to leave you high and dry. She's a maniac.
She's only caring about herself. I'm surprised she drove you to them in the first place. Sarah is trying to stay out of it as much as she can. We land in our home airport and she's chatting with my husband about where to leave the supplies she has and getting her stuff from inside the car, which is parked at our house for the duration of the trip. And he said, "Go talk to OP. I have nothing to do with this." I get a text about it and I don't respond. We leave and go home. We email her back and forth about what happened and next steps, and her story changes so many times that she starts contradicting herself and eventually stops. At one point claiming she hadn't quit her job with me. No, she got fired.
You didn't quit. You got fired for acting a fool and insulting your boss to anyone who would listen to you.
I'm guessing there was the potential that how she was like, "Well, I didn't get fired, I quit." And that can change if you get severance or not sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it might have just been the back and forth of like, "You need to pay me those like 2 weeks of severance," or whatever. So stupid stuff, probably.
I would just let her spin her wheels. I highly doubt this person will be able to do anything in any capacity to actually harm you.
By the way, you should never quit listening to full episodes of stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime.
Boom.
We have another update, but what are your thoughts?
I mean, we've said them all. When she shows you who she is, listen to her, and then don't take her to Europe with your husband and Sarah.
Yeah. Don't expect anything else from her and don't keep helping her. A few days later, I messaged Sarah, "Hey, are you upset about what went down?" I didn't get a response for 2 weeks to the day, basically saying, "Yeah, that was incredibly immature of you and your husband. You won't be seeing me for some time. How could you guys do that to a so-called friend? I'm standing by Olivia."
Wow. That's actually crazy.
What? And she really shortened it down, but broad strokes are there. Great. I lost 2 friends over this. So Reddit, am I the a-hole?
I mean, unless you told a completely fraudulent story, like, no, you're not the a-hole. Your friend Olivia was like a petulant child.
Your friend Sarah also could have been hearing a wildly different form of this because Olivia was going right to her.
I'm sure.
There's a chance that she could come back around, but like, honestly, do you want either of them?
Yeah, at this point, I would just like, anyone who can't see that Olivia is like full crap is like, all right. Yeah, so just maybe don't take it personally with Sarah.
Yeah.
Just let it go, and she'll probably come back around and be like, if she spends any time with Olivia, I'm sure she'll eventually get to a point where this happens to her and she'll go, "Oh my God, I was wrong the whole time."
Or she'll be so sick of hearing about it because that's probably all Olivia talks about. But that is the end of that.
Yeah, that is the end. You should let that be the end of your friendship with Olivia.
Yes.
And also that is the end of this episode. So if you love us, make sure you subscribe.
We love you.
And
see
oh
you
God,
tomorrow.
wait. See you tomorrow.